Madam Deputy Secretary General of the United Nations, Mr. President of the General Assembly, Mr. President of the Economic and Social Council, Mr. Under-Secretary General for Economic and Social Affairs, Madam Director General of the International Development Law Organization, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen. I really deeply regret not being there with you today to open this important conference. I wish to express all my gratitude to United Nations DISA and IDLO for their work in organizing this event, held in New York for the second time, after the success of last year's editions that was opened by our President of the Republic. I also wish to warmly welcome all participants, representatives of member states, international organizations, judicial bodies, academic, civil society, including in particular the women and young leaders who work with unwavering commitment to advance peaceful and inclusive societies, fair justice systems, and institutions that are effective, accountable, and transparent. Peace, justice, and inclusion are not abstract ideals, but essential foundation for sustainable development. They are the heart of the 2030 Agenda, and they also underpin the constitutional architecture of many countries, including Italy. The United Nations Charters remind us of this. In its preamble, it calls us to establish conditions under which justice and respect for the obligation arising from treaties and other sources of international law can be maintained, and to promote social progress and better standards of life in larger freedom. As we stand now at the midpoint of the 2030 Agenda's implementation timeline, our collective progress must accelerate. However, the context we face today is more complex than we could have imagined just a few years ago. The worsening impact of climate change and the multiplication of conflicts around the world are diverting our efforts and resources from the goals. While these are urgent challenges, our broader vision must remain clear. We aim to make our societies more inclusive and just by expanding civic and political space, ensuring institutions at all levels and more representative, and renewing the social contract between people and the institution. Allow me to emphasize how SDG 16 is an enabling objective for reaching many other SDGs of the Agenda 2030. A fair and inaccessible legal system imbued with the protection and guarantees and just institutions are the precondition for the full enjoyment of human rights and the pursuit of the human development in its most elevated sense. We cannot speak of peace as a pathway to development without protecting the rights of individuals and communities. We cannot pursue justice without robust laws and policies and vigorous enforcement that protect women and children from violence and exploitation, that counter organized crime, and that fight marginalization and discrimination, including for persons with disabilities. Yet SDG 16 is more than the sum of its parts. It also encompasses the strengthening of civic space and participatory processes, the broadening of political inclusion, and the renewal of the social contract between governments and the governed, When citizens, especially younger people and women, feel genuinely heard and represented, societies become more cohesive, more resilient, and more just. Italy remains committed both nationally and internationally to uphold the rule of the law and to advance Goal 16, working with partners such as IDLO, proudly hosted in Rome. Together, we and within the United Nations, we must work tirelessly to rebuild trust among nations and further strengthen multilateralism to effectively address present and future global challenges. This multilateral spirit has been a fundamental pillar of the foreign policy of the Italian Republic since its birth. It's particularly fitting that this conference is held in the year of the United Nations 80th anniversary, and that is immediately precedes a series of landmark multilateral gatherings, from the Financing for Development Conference through the high-level political forum and for the Food Systems Summit stock taking to the World Summit Social Development. Such a strategic timing ensures that our discussion today can help to renew the momentum for the multilateral cooperation and the 2030 agenda. Thank you. I wish us all a very productive and fruitful conference. Thank you.